podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Hi guys, welcome to another week here on Ring Around The Rosie. This is Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, aka the crazy person in front of the microphone right now, welcoming you to my podcast on March 7th, 2018. While a winter storm is raging outside, well, allegedly, we're in the midst of a northeastern here in the great and glorious state of Massachusetts. Although right now, as of the time I'm recording this, we seem to be getting more rain than snow, but it's very cold rain and the wind is going crazy. And it took me forever to tame my hair when I got inside. After coming home from work, I was like, I don't even want to look at myself in the mirror. I have to. Holy crap, look at that mess. Yeah, that's one thing about having kind of longish hair is the fact that when it gets windy, your hair decides to go completely batshit insane. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. Obviously, the exciting thing coming up is WWE Fastlane this weekend, which is going to be a pretty cool pay-per-view. The SmackDown pay-per-view is going to be a lot of fun. You know, confusing, main event with this guy and this guy and this, so on and so forth, all that. It's going to be interesting to see how they work this out. I have to be honest, the most recent thing, there's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get to some results for the week. Obviously, one of the big things that is come out for the last couple of weeks is the people that have been announced as going in the WWE Hall of Fame this year. The most recent person, I should say, congrats to, is Hillbilly Jim, who is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is very cool. I remember watching Hillbilly Jim way back in the day when they introduced him as a fan who came out of the crowd to keep Hulk Hogan from getting his hair cut by Bobby Heenan and his gang of ruffians. They, made it like this guy just jumped out of the crowd and Hogan was impressed with him and took him under his wing and trained him and so on and so forth. He was also one of the few people I can think of that during the whole time he was with the WWF at the time, that he never turned on Hogan, unlike other people like, Paul Orndorff and all these other people like that. Randy Savage and everybody like that. I don't know. And now that I think about it, I don't think that, Hillbilly Jim ever turned. The whole country boy, hillbilly thing was fun. I mean, it was the 80s. It would, and wrestling was a lot more cartoonish back then, and it was fun. They started bringing in other people as part of his family. I remember his Granny Kim. They had a couple of Visionettes with her, and they brought in Cousin Junior and Uncle Elmer. And I do seem to recall Uncle Elmer getting married on Saturday night's main event, if I remember correctly, which was pretty neat. It was kind of cool. It was weird, one of those surreal wrestling moments, But I've always liked Hillbilly Jim. I thought he was one of those kind of guys he was so beloved by the kids and the younger fans and stuff like that. And he just seemed like a really fun, friendly character, and that was cool. So congratulations to him. The one thing that's really flipping me out, though, is the fact that what happened a couple of weeks ago was the announcement that Jeff Jarrett is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And for people who are more recent fans, I'm sure some of them are like, well, that's great, big deal. For some of us who've been around a little longer, it was kind of a what the what moment. It was kind of, okay, pardon me? Jeff Jarrett. The same Jeff Jarrett that basically, caused Vince no end of headaches when he was supposed to drop the IC belt to China. That Jeff Jarrett, that same Jeff Jarrett. Okay. More things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. It's just a strange sort of situation. You want my honest opinion? It's downright weird. I mean, Jeff Jarrett obviously had been, well known in the South before he decided to go to the WWF and do this whole Double J country singer routine, where it turned out he wasn't actually singing. It was Road Dogg doing the singing and Jarrett doing the lip syncing, so it's kind of a Milli Vanilli kind of a deal. The thing I remember most about Jarrett, besides the fact that he used to, Jarrett used to have this, beautiful mane of long hair, which he then cut, and I was like, damn it. They put him in the most ridiculous get-ups. I mean, these light-up jackets and these, he had like the jacket that lit up and sunglasses that lit up and a hat and the whole thing. I was like, if they go to an outdoor arena, like, they're going to be in danger of having a small plane land on him because he's that lit up. He looks like a runway. It's ridiculous. But, it's, like I said, I mean, everything old is new again, and wrestling definitely is a place where you get the whole strange bedfellows thing happening. So, congratulations to Jeff Jarrett. I mean, his speech is going to be real interesting. That's for damn sure. So, obviously, the other big thing that people have been talking about is this whole Brock Lesnar situation. In regards to the fact that something that got brought up before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which, although her character annoys the living shit out of me, which is her job, Alexa Bliss did say something that made sense. When she was whining to Kurt Angle about the fact that she had to compete in the Elimination Chamber match, and her belt was on the line in the Elimination Chamber match. Why wasn't Brock Lesnar put in the match? Why wasn't his belt put on the line in the men's match? And to be perfectly honest, she had a good point. She really did. I mean, you have this large pay-per-view and no Lesnar. Now, as it turned out, apparently Brock Lesnar was in Vegas hanging around with UFC bigwig Dana White, which all came out when Roman Reigns came out the next evening on Raw and brought up the fact that Brock wasn't there when he was supposed to be there, because he and Reigns were supposed to, be face-to-face, because now Roman is going to be facing Brock at WrestleMania. Now, from what I've heard, this whole thing is, it's a work, it's scripted. I mean, the whole thing is a work, If Lesnar was really screwing up and being like, I just don't want to show up, I really don't think Vince would be that casual about it, nor do I think he'd let Roman go out there and call Brock a bitch and this, that, and the other thing. But I have to question the logic of this storyline. Now, from what I've been able to piece together from the way things have been set up, and also from other things that have happened since, including a house show where Brock defeated Kane in 30 seconds, and people were pretty dang ripshit about it from what I heard. I really don't know if this is the storyline that I would want to follow. The whole storyline so far with Brock Lesnar has been, Brock Lesnar is this undefeatable, monster, this kind of hulking mass of humanity that, is just about beating people up because he gets paid to do it. I mean, certain people, you get the feeling that even if they weren't being paid, they would enjoy kicking the crap out of people. They'd just do it just because they could. Brock Lesnar definitely seems to be of the, his whole thing is that he gets paid to beat people up. my big thing about Lesnar is the fact that I just don't feel any passion from him. I never really have. I've never felt that he has a passion for wrestling. I've always felt like and I might be wrong about this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. What do I know? But he's always seemed to kind of view wrestling as a plan B, basically. The whole, he became a wrestler and became famous and all this stuff like that, and then he left to go play football. And that didn't work, so he came back. And he wrestled for a little while, and then he went off to UFC. And then he came back. This isn't like the way it's been with other people. And I don't begrudge anybody having 2 careers or however many. I have absolutely no problem with the idea of a wrestler deciding, well, I'm going to step away from the ring for a while and go do this, whatever this is. This could be acting, this could be business, this could be, racing cars, it could be working as a rodeo clown, whatever. If you want to follow, you should always follow your heart and your passion about what you do. I mean, there's a reason that the saying exists, that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's just that when those people come back, usually from doing whatever, they come back and they're excited to be back. You get the feeling that they've gone off and they've done something else for a little while and maybe rested their body and recharged the batteries and all that, and come back, and now they're like, hey, I'm back, and wow, you guys really missed me, or wow, you're really booing me because you hate me because I'm a heel, and that's actually my job so good. That kind of a deal. But I have never felt that with Lesnar. And the idea of making what might be real into a storyline, I'm not sure that really works. I mean, sometimes the whole ripped from the headlines thing, I mean, it worked well on Law and Order, I know, but the whole bleeding real life into wrestling, sometimes it can work. Sometimes it can be really interesting, and other times it just can be awkward. And the idea that we're supposed to care about wrestlers. I mean, when you think about it, I don't mean care as in, like thinking anybody makes a sunrise or set, but I mean, these are people that are out there, and I'm not trying to use any exaggeration here, and I'm not trying to be melodramatic for a change, but these are people that go out there every night, these men and women that do this to entertain us and to be athletes and entertain us. They are literally putting their lives on the line every single night they go out in that ring and do their job. Because something could go wrong. Someone could slip. Something could go wrong with the ring. Somebody could land badly. Shit happens, and sometimes things go wrong. And the thing is, with wrestling, when things go wrong, it can be catastrophic. And we, as the audience, I think, should be emotionally invested in the people that we're watching. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to feel the same amount of passion for every single wrestler that's out there. There's obviously going to be some people that are your favorites, that you like more for whatever reason, because you respect them, or you think they're, good on the microphone, or you think they're really handsome or beautiful, or a combination of all of those things, or, or whatever it is that makes you look at somebody and go, yes, I'm going to support them. Whatever it is. I mean, everybody's got their own thing, you be you. But you have to care at some point. You have to care. Even if it's annoyance, even if it's because you dislike somebody, that's still emotion. That's still caring. I don't get that with Lesnar. I don't feel like he wants to be there. And that attitude, first of all, I think that attitude on the person who's carrying your championship is a dumb idea. I mean, really dumb. But, like I said, what do I know? I might be wrong. But I'd love to know what you guys think. I mean, do you think that this whole, Lesnar's not a decent champion because he doesn't give a shit and it shows attitude is, do you think it's good storytelling? Do you think it's detrimental? Do you think it's a waste of time? I'd love to know. If you'd like to send an email to me at platinumroselle@yahoo.com, I will definitely, take the time to read it and post it and talk about it and make you famous for a second. So we're going to get to some results now for the last couple of days. The Monday Night Raw was from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which I have never been to, but I'm sure it's a lovely place. We begin the evening with Kurt Angle, who comes out to the ring to talk, and he orders Triple H to come out to the ring and face him. Unfortunately, instead of Triple H, we get Stephanie. So, and Stephanie and Kurt kind of jaw back and forth for a little while, and then Ronda Rousey's music starts, and she comes out, and she hugs Kurt and shakes Stephanie's hand. It turns out that Ronda has decided who she wants to face at WrestleMania. And Ronda tells Stephanie she wants to face Stephanie. And I start smiling, kind of like the Joker. Actually, a little too much like the Joker. It was kind of unnerving. Stephanie, needless to say, starts to try and back out of this by saying she's not a member of the roster. And what do you know? That brings out Triple H. Triple H comes out and tells Kurt that he has to do his job, and that Kurt's a little surprised because Stephanie had said Hunter wasn't there earlier. And this goes back and forth a little bit further, and Kurt says that the WrestleMania match is now going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be Stephanie versus Ronda. It's going to be Triple H and Stephanie versus Ronda and Kurt Angle. And by now I'm laughing like the Joker, which is probably a little even more unnerving. Stephanie starts to screech at Kurt. I won't call it screaming because it's screeching, because you can tell like dogs' heads are exploding in the surrounding neighborhoods. But whatever she's saying, it's not loud enough that they can pick it up on the mic, which is amazing because when Stephanie starts hitting that level of noise that only flies can hear, that's really impressive. She tries to slap Kurt, and Ronda grabs her arm and keeps her from slapping Kurt. Unfortunately, does not rip Stephanie's arm out of the socket and begin beating her over the head with it, which, we can't have nice things. Triple H tries to get Ronda to, not dismember his wife. He says they're going to get out of the ring, which he looks like he's going to do until he tries to sucker punch Kurt. And for once, Kurt's paying attention and blocks that. There's a more physical back and forth between Hunter and Kurt as Stephanie tries to mount an offense by hitting Ronda from behind, which was overwhelmingly stupid. When Hunter tries to give Kurt Angle the pedigree, Angle gets out of it and gets Hunter trapped in the ankle lock. And also, I couldn't... The move that he did, I've seen Kurt do the ankle lock like a million times, but that one looked especially vicious. Stephanie's trying to pull Hunter out of the ring, and Ronda, in the move that was just going to make the rest of my night no matter what else happened, Ronda grabs Stephanie by the hair, lifts her up, and drops her on her ass on the outside of the ring, drags her back into the ring, and gives her a Samoan drop. I'm sorry. I went to my happy place for a minute. Sorry. Oh, I think I finally found the one thing I'm going to watch more than that's clip from CSI of Justin Bieber getting shot over and over again. Oh man, I wore that clip out. First match of the evening is Asuka versus Nia Jax, which ends surprising. I mean, I was pretty sure Asuka's winning streak was not going to end here, but to see Nia tap out, Nia Jax tap out, that was, I mean, damn. I mean, it is Asuka, you know, and she's Asuka. That's really all you really have to say. After the match is over, we see Alexa in the back with her new BFF, Mickie James, and Alexa's just kind of got that resting bitch face thing that she's got going usually, you know. After the match is done, Nia gets up, and the crowd actually was being pretty nice. Not, you know, booing or mocking or anything like that. They applauded and you know, were very polite and respectful to her, which I thought was actually pretty nice. After commercial, the next match was the Revival. Again, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder going against Sheamus and Cesaro. And the stipulation was if the Revival win this match, they will then face the Bar at WrestleMania. The match instead went to Sheamus and Cesaro. And I have to be honest, I was kind of like, okay, that I don't really see the point of the whole thing then, but whatever. You know, it seemed like an odd way to do things, but you know, who am I to try and figure out what happens with the WWE stuff? Sometimes you think you have it figured out, and then you're like, no, I guess they're gonna do this instead, because it's, you know, it's one of those. You think you have it figured out, and then they decide, no, we're going to do this because why not, you know. I guess that means, so far, it means the Bar doesn't have an opponent yet for WrestleMania. We come back to the ring again after they did a promo thing, I suppose you call it, for the new Strangers movie. We come back to the ring, and in the ring, to the ring comes John Cena, who is talking about his chance for, you know, WrestleMania and how he wants to get to WrestleMania, talking about all the things that he's done, and talking about that he's going to win the WWE Championship for the 17th time. And the crowd started booing like you would have thought that he said that he had just canceled Christmas. You know, I really don't understand all the hate with Cena. Other than I think it's a little bit of jealousy on some people's part. I don't know. We wind up having Goldust come out to the stage, and after using a quote from On the Waterfront, great movie, we have Goldust punching Cena, challenging him to a match, and did they just turn Goldust heel? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I mean, I know he's been both, and really the character started as a heel, playing on homophobia, which is distasteful as fuck, but, you know. Anyway, Goldust versus John Cena ended with Cena giving Goldust the attitude adjustment and winning the match. We see Kurt Angle in the back. He is talking on his phone when he is joined by Elias. Oh joy, oh rapture. Elias is trying to talk his way out of the Symphony of Destruction match that he's going to be having with Braun Strowman this evening, and all that does is get Kurt to add on the added stipulation that now the Symphony of Destruction match, which is extremely difficult to say, is now also a Falls Count Anywhere match. We have the whole, we go back and review some of the other things that have happened previously, also going back about what happened with Bayley at Elimination Chamber, and also in the match that happened previously with her refusing to tag Sasha in. And while she's talking, she's interrupted by Paige and Paige's music, and out comes Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, which leads to a match between Bayley and Mandy Rose, which Bayley winds up winning. And after the match, she is attacked by Sonya and Mandy. Sasha Banks comes to help her out, stop the attack. Sasha stays in the ring with Bayley, and Sasha raises Bayley's arm as a winner. But when Sasha goes to get a hug from Bayley, Bayley pushes her away and leaves. I myself, me personally, really don't want to see what's coming. I don't want to see Bayley and Sasha not be friends in the ring anymore, and I don't want Bayley to turn heel. I think Bayley is a really good role model for young girls, and I think the idea of turning her heel is distasteful, and I don't like it. So hopefully they won't do it. I don't know. Well, after a commercial, we come back, and the stuff that happened earlier in the evening between Asuka and Nia Jax is shown. We see Nia in the locker room, and she's being looked over by medical people. Alexa and Mickie James come by, and Alexa asks Mickie to leave so she can talk with Nia. Alexa then goes into this whole, basically, oh, I'm your friend, but I'm going to say a bunch of mean shit to you. That kind of fucking crap that some of us had to deal with in high school, which is part of the reason that I would really love to see somebody beat the living fucking frog snot out of Alexa Bliss. I mean, I would like blood, but I know I'm not going to get it because we don't get nice things anymore. We get a look at what happened with Ronda Rousey, and also we see what happened last week between Elias and Braun Strowman, the match that was going on that Elias wound up losing by disqualification because he blasted Braun in the face with a fire extinguisher. Which, why? Why would you do that? Why, if you have a fire extinguisher, I'm sorry, if you have a fire extinguisher and you have a guy like Braun Strowman coming at you, your first inclination is to use the fire extinguisher? Fuck that noise. Hit him with it. It's like, what the fuck? So we have the setup for the Symphony of Destruction Falls Count Anywhere match, which is the fact that on the stage leading down the ramp are a bunch of instruments, including a drum set, several guitars, a bass, and a piano. We have Elias doing his whole insult the town he's in, who wants to walk with Elias shtick. I would rather walk into an all-night showing of Batman and Robin than walk with Elias. So that gives you an indication. Elias demands that he is given the introduction he deserves, which means that the lights go out so that they can shine the spotlight, blah, blah. The issue is when the lights come back on, Elias has done a runner. Literally. He is running running through the backstage area, runs outside, jumps into a running car, and tries to back up, and the car doesn't move. And we realize we're all going, yeah, because Braun's back there. Elias looks in the mirror, Braun's back there, lifting the car, and Elias, needless to say, gets out of the car and runs back in the arena, and we get a Symphony of Destruction Falls Count Anywhere match, which basically involves Braun destroying Elias via pretty much every instrument up there, including the guitars, the bass. I don't remember him doing anything with the drums, to be honest with you. Elias winds up being placed under a piano, which Braun then decides to play. We'll go with hit. Let's go with hit. Braun decides to hit the piano. For anybody who's ever had a cat walk across a piano and you hear that kind of noise, picture that, only the cat's having a full seizure. And that pretty much gives you what the sound coming from the piano was. Braun then drops said piano on Elias and pins him. Thank goodness, because I'm like, what the hell else is he going to do to him? Elias winds up being put on a stretcher after the match is through. When we come back from commercial, we are told that on April 27th, there's going to be a card held in Saudi Arabia and a 50-man Royal Rumble match, which sounds pretty cool, to be honest with you. Following that, we had a match with Rhino, Heath Slater in his corner versus Bray Wyatt. Bray winds up beating on Rhino before the bell rings. It goes into this whole Sister Abigail thing. 3 count, Bray wins. Okay, you're evil, we get it. We have Bray screaming to Matt Hardy to show his face. Matt's face appears on the Titantron with his weird Sweeney Todd hair and the what the hell is that accent, and tells Bray that the Great War is not over. I'm pretty sure that was World War I, right? I mean, that's I'm pretty sure that's over, guys. Just saying. That this Great War can't occur in a WWE ring, that there's the only place that can handle this fight of this magnitude is the Hardy compound. And he invites Bray to show up and to prepare for the final deletion, whatever the fuck that means. I'm not entirely sure what it means. I know it sounds painful. I'm also I'm sorry. I'm not one of these sensitive, pearl-clutching, I'm offended types. At least I don't think I am. But I'm sorry, final deletion sounds... That sounds like some friggin' eugenics shit there. I mean, that's... Guys, come up with something else. Seriously, that is really uncomfortable. Following another commercial break, we are back with The Miz and Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, and it's time for the Mizzies. Hold me back. And this nonsense goes on for a long time until we get Seth Rollins interrupting all of this stupidity, and he kind of shoots off his mouth at The Miz for a little while. Which brings out Finn Balor, and it's pretty much, Seth's like, I want to kick his ass, and Finn's like, I want to kick his ass, and, it just continues on from there. We wind up with a match with Miz, Curtis Axel, and Bo Dallas taking on Seth and Finn, which Seth and Finn wind up winning. Kurt comes out after the match is done and informs Miz that he has a match at WrestleMania and that he is going to be facing Seth Rollins and Finn Balor in a 3-way dance at WrestleMania. So that just got more interesting. Paul Heyman comes out to the ring with Brock's belt and proceeds to basically say that, Brock Lesnar does what he wants because he's a badass, and that's basically all there is to it. He then proceeds to talk a little bit of smack about Roman Reigns, which I think is kind of stupid if Brock isn't there to back you up, because Roman could kill you. I mean, that's just, my opinion. Paul alludes to the previous week that Brock Lesnar had been called a bitch by Roman Reigns. Paul said that the title belt is Brock's bitch, that she belongs to Brock. I'm sorry, feminizing a leather strap is just weird. I'm sorry, it's just anthropomorphizing a leather strap and calling it she and bitch and all that is just weird and uncomfortable, and it's really not working for me. All of this talking finally brings out Roman. He goes to the ring and gets directly in Paul Heyman's face. And basically, Roman says that if Brock wants to show up in Detroit next week, that Roman's going to be there too. And that he says that Brock better be dressed for a fight. And that's where the show ended. Not bad, move the storylines along, and the whole thing at the beginning with Ronda and Kurt and Stephanie and Triple H made me so happy. I mean, I know that they're probably going to I know Ronda and Kurt are probably going to get screwed over at WrestleMania, but just let me have my one moment. I mean, let me just visualize Stephanie getting dragged in the ring by her hair and then dropped, just let me have my happy moment. Just one little happy moment. Moving on to WWE SmackDown, which was from the lovely city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Dasha Fuentes kicked off the show by having Charlotte Flair come out to the ring. And she also had Charlotte's opponent come out, her opponent first at Fastlane, which is Ruby Riott. Ruby came out with Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan because apparently she can't go anywhere with me. What do these women do? Like go to the... I mean, I know a lot of women go to the bathroom in packs. And you know why? You know why women go to the bathroom in packs, guys? When you go out like with your ladies and stuff like that, and like all the women get up at the same time and they go to the bathroom and you're all sitting there at the table and you're all going, what are they talking about? You know what we're talking about in the bathroom? We're talking about how much money you're spending on us and we're laughing at you. I think I might have just given away a huge gender secret there, so if I did, I'm sorry. Lots of back and forth between the two ladies, and the other women involved as well. Bobby Roode comes out to the ringside area because he is Charlotte's mixed match tag team partner. He says that he's out there to watch the opponent that he has on Sunday. And we get the match that's following that, which is Jinder Mahal facing Randy Orton, which turns into what you kind of figured it was going to turn into, a complete and utter clusterfuck. Although having Mahal win I actually kind of was surprised at that. I figured Randy might win by DQ, but I was like, okay, you guys know what you're doing. We have a segment after that with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, basically doing the whole, we're best friends and we'll never betray each other stuff. So I suppose we can start the betrayal clock now. Short interview with a short segment with Baron Corbin, followed by a package about the rivalry between the Usos and the New Day. Dasha is trying to interview Shinsuke Nakamura when Aiden English and Rusev rudely show up and, interrupt things. Next match of the evening is Becky Lynch against Carmella, who still has the Money in the Bank briefcase. And the winner of that match was Becky Lynch. We see Naomi, who was watching Becky and Carmella's match, via monitor and stuff. She's been watching it in the back, and we see her in the back, and she has a bit of snark back and forth between herself and Natalya. Okay, Natalya, I am, and this is not a reflection on Natalya, the human being. Natty Neidhart is a very nice person, I'm sure, but seriously, that outfit, Natty. Wow. Seriously, every time and especially this week's outfit and the whole kitty ear thing, I'm sorry, why is it whenever I look at Natalia's outfits, all I think is Power Ranger villain? That's all I get. I'm like, she's like Rita Repulsa's sister-in-law or something like that. It's tripping me out. It's completely tripping me out. So we wind up having, they're going to have a match at Fastlane. And we see AJ in the back. And then we go to commercial. AJ comes out to the ring talking about how long it took him and what he's had to go through to get to where he is right now. And also talking about John Cena and sounding more than a little bitter. Dolph Ziggler comes down to the ring and does his whole, the fans will turn on you and stab you in the back and screw them and fuck them and all this stuff like that. To which I'm like, well, if you don't like the fans so much, quit. Fucking leave again. You left. We didn't miss you. We knew you were coming back. And AJ eventually gets tired of Dolph's garbage and says, well, why don't we have a match? Why don't we have our match right now? Side note, and I've brought this up numerous times, and I'm going to keep bringing it up because it keeps happening. Why is it the older AJ Styles gets, the more he looks like Tom Cruise? Why is this happening? I don't get it. And I never noticed it when he was in TNA. I never noticed it. I think it has to do with the fact that in TNA his hair was so short. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. But every time I look at him, I'm like, why is he reminding me of Tom Cruise? Why? I don't get it. So moving forward, we had AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match, which turned into a complete and utter train wreck because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out and started attacking both Dolph and AJ, and the match was ruled a no contest, which eventually brought out Shane McMahon, and Shane says that there's going to be a match right now. We're not going to let things end this way. And he has Baron Corbin come out, and we wind up having a match with AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler. Whew. Which winds up being won at the end of it all by Sami Zayn, who gets the pin on Kevin Owens. After the match, Sami's asked why he betrayed his closest friend, would take a bullet for, etc., etc. And Sami's response is that he is the best in the WWE and that he is going to be the one that, wins everything when it comes to Fastlane, and he's tired of being in the shadows and so on and so forth. Basically the same stuff he's been saying, but also finally being like, I'm not letting my friendship with Kevin keep me from, making it all the way to the top when it comes to being champion. So, okay, fine, be that way, buddy. You and your little stupid hat. I shouldn't say that. I actually kind of like the little beret thing. I think it's kind of cute. I actually like Sami. I mean, I do. I can't help it. I like Sami. He cracks me up. So we have the Fastlane lineup. As far as right now, I mean, who knows what could happen in the next few days, which will be coming from Columbus, Ohio at the Nationwide Arena, which probably used to be called something else before everything had a corporate name. Sorry, that was kind of cynical, wasn't it? Sorry. So this is the card as of right now. Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella. Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. WWE SmackDown champions the Usos versus the New Day. Bobby Roode puts his United States title against Randy Orton. Charlotte Flair's going against Ruby Riott, and AJ Styles versus John Cena versus Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Phew. So, I hope you enjoyed my show this week, and if you have any questions or comments or queries or complaints or anything you'd like to send my way, please send that to platinumroselle@yahoo.com. I will definitely read it on the air. And I hope you will check out the other shows that are part of our little family here. And if you like my show, I hope you like, share, and subscribe. The other shows that are part of our little happy group here would include Subject Cinema, which is a movie podcast that my dear, sweet, long-suffering fella TC and I do. We have been running this movie podcast for over 10 years. Holy crap. And this month is very special. Every March we have Masochistic March. And no, it's not those kind of movies. Settle down. Every March we watch bad movies on purpose. I mean, bad, painful, terrible movies. We've done bad martial arts movies, bad musicals, bad disaster movies. But this year, and this was my idea, so I have to take full blame. This year, Masochistic March is looking at bad Star Wars ripoffs. And for me, being a warzy, this hurts. It's very painful. So won't you join us in our suffering over at subjectcinema.com. And we also have another show that's a lot of fun called Front Row 5 and 10. It's a list show where we will count down a bunch of different lists, all kinds of crazy topics, from everything from movies and music to books, comics, food, anything we can think of. And if you have a list idea, we definitely love to use it, so you can send it to me at platinumroselle@yahoo.com, and if it's a cool list, we'll definitely use it and give you credit. If you are a fan of the CW show Supernatural, or if you know somebody who is, in which case you have great taste, I hope you will check out my other solo podcast, Platinum Rose's Garden, which is my Supernatural podcast. I look at the week's episode and talk about it, and any kind of supernatural news or anything special coming up. Talking about fan fiction and all kinds of crazy things like that. It's a fun show. Also not safe for work, but it's over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com if you'd like to check it out. TC has some solo shows that he does as well, and they're really awesome. If you are into disaster movies, and I know there's some of you out there, you can check out Catastrophe Vortex, which is his disaster movie podcast. He is a disaster movie junkie, so you'll definitely want to check that out. He has a couple of mini podcasts, including 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex, which are shows that help you look for new movies that are coming out, and when things are coming out on DVD and all kinds of stuff like that. There's also Cavebabble from Eric and Valerie Lyon, and Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee Wee. You can check them out as well. They're all great people that help us out and do awesome work. And we also did our own special broadcast, I should say. It's called Manhattan Hammerdown. It is a 10-year anniversary piece celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the movie Cloverfield. It's looking at other things that were going on around New York City when the attack occurred. It's been done by everybody involved with our podcast, and it was a real labor of love, and it's really cool. So Google Manhattan Hammerdown, and you can give it a listen. So that is going to wrap things up for this week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I hope I can count on you guys to come back next week. I'm Kim Brown, also known as Platinum Rose Lady, signing off for another week. Bye, guys.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.